All right. We are live.
All right.
Great.
Do we need to?
So we're having technical difficulties, everybody. Give us just a couple minutes here. As per usual, right?
Yeah. Yeah. We even called in an adult uh, for some help earlier. Hmm. Probably still broke it after that. So,
Do you still have that old stream up, Pink?
I do, but it's show. Well, I went to the video and it's showing the minute and 25 we were on earlier. Like that's it.
Can you throw there uh this link
Oh,
in
you
that
mean in
chat?
the chat? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, let me grab that. Oh, it says chat's no longer available. So that didn't work.
We can add a comment, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. I don't seem to have the ability to comment from there.
Yeah, I think I do. Let me see.
Okay, cool.
All right. All right. I
Did we
see
get it?
Brian's here, Tim's here. Some people are finding us. I think we're okay.
All right, good, 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 good.
All right, all right. Well, hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Hackle Box. Sorry for the confusion, but we're rolling, we're live. It's going to be hot, it's going to be fresh, it's going to be wonderful. I'm Oscar Minks, your host, joined by the always wonderful Pinky. And Pinky, I think today's the day, man. We're not going to have any streaming issues. You're so clear. Your video looks so
Oh yeah,
good.
I
Your
know.
audio's so good.
Nice, nice. I'm very
Yeah,
excited about that. I mean, it only took like a new switch, making some cables and scrambling, half an hour before this got started. And remembering to plug in the uplink, which is always good because I forgot about that
always
part.
important. Always important.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Welcome, Pink. And then we got a special guest today, the one and only Seth Bowling. Hey, Seth, how you doing?
Hey, doing great, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, Eric is at Wild West Hacking Fest this week, so he's not able to join us. He said he was a maybe, so who knows? Could get a
Maybe it'll just
surprise
pop
pop in
in.
from Eric later. Yeah, so we'll see. All right. So we usually like to kick off with some random topics. Um, we talk a lot about candy and food and stuff on here. We haven't had
Mhm.
a candy conversation in a while, and
Sure.
I found like a new treat I really enjoy. There's caramels that are made here in Montana. It's Bequet, but they do fun flavors. Of they're not your normal caramel. Like they do a sour apple. They have like a fresh cherry. They have a pumpkin spice. It's the season for pumpkin spice.
Sure,
So
sure.
shameless plug. These caramels are fantastic. If you guys get a chance to try one, you should definitely put some in your belly.
Do
Nice.
like some caramels. Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. I recently learned that speaking of Montana, I like huckleberry flavored stuff. That's a big thing out there, right?
Oh yeah,
So
Huckleberry is Montana's bourbon flavor, an equivalent to Kentucky, right?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, we did a conference a few weeks ago, and as like a thank you for speaking, they gave me this Montana basket, and like everything in it was huckleberry flavored. So huckleberry
Mhm.
coffee, like taffy, the huckleberry taffy rules. That's good.
Yeah, I enjoy it's when I describe the flavor of Huckleberry to people who've never tried it. To me, it reminds me of like blueberry mixed with raspberry.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I've never had huckleberry. I mean, yeah, like you're saying, it seems like every time we talk to somebody from Montana, it's like, yeah, we make something out of huckleberry, right? It's like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds awesome. I
Yeah.
know. I mean, I know we're Canadian, but I mean, like, when it comes to berries, I don't think a lot of people eat too many of us. Mulberries, we've got a few trees here,
Oh yeah.
and I love them, man. I love them. The only problem is the birds get them like a half a second before they're actually ripe.
Hmm.
And some out there just like waiting for them to turn just a slight shade of purple and snatching them off the tree. But yeah, they're delicious, man. They're
And then
delicious.
immediately fly over your car.
Oh yeah, well, it's funny. I'm looking out like at our driveway because the main huckleberry tree is right over where we park our cars,
Uh-huh.
and so yeah, they're real purple. In the
Hmm.
in the huckle or the mulberry season. But yeah, they're delicious, man. I would like some. Now I kind of want some mulberry candy. I'm thinking about it. But
I'm a
I
fan
guess
of
makes you.
mulberries as well. Yeah.
Yeah, they're great, man. They're great. But were you? I was kind of thinking like it's Halloween time, so is that where you're going candy time on this?
Yeah, yeah, it's just we're getting close. And I forgot, Pink. We kind of blew it for everybody, so sorry. Should have had you do a spooky story today. I love your spooky
Oh
stories.
man, I forgot to. It's been busy. It's been busy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I forgot all about spooky stories. My bad. But we'll try to do something else. I'll think about it. I'll think about it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Maybe sometime in November we could work some
yeah.
spooky stories in here.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna as far as candy though, I'm gonna throw uh a mutual friend of all of ours who I don't think any of us actually know, but we consider him a friend. Matt Jones of Kentucky Sports Radio is always talking about the nerds clusters, the nerd gummy cluster
Hmm.
things. Dude, those things are money. I love those
Hmm.
things. They are so good. Like if I'm picking a bag of candy right now, it's kind of what I'm going for. And I hear they added some juice ones or something. Like
Ooh, I haven't seen
that's
that.
yeah, I haven't
Yeah.
either, but um, that was what made me think of it. I was listening to KSR last night, and he was talking about it. So, man, those sound good.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
a fan of nerds clusters for sure. Although they did give me one recommendation on there. They were like talking about the dehydrated candies. I don't know if you guys have tried those yet. Or freeze dried. Sorry, freeze dried candies.
Freeze dried
Hmm.
candy. I mean, I've
And
had fruit, but not candy.
Yeah.
mm, freeze dried candy, it's a thing. I tried a bag. They were like Swedish fish, which I enjoy. And so I was like, maybe I like this. Picked up a bag and they're gross. I don't like them.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It's weird.
Yeah, the
It's like the whole
texture's got to
texture
be
is weird.
bizarre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of like me think of the freeze dried ice cream.
Right.
Like I don't know if you guys ever did the like field trip to the planetarium or wherever. It was always like you can get astronaut ice cream in the gift shop, and you buy it. It was terrible.
Hmm.
It was awful, but
Yep.
it was a thing. So
Although
yeah, but
shout out to Dippin' Dots. Sometimes they would have Dippin' Dots there
Dippin'
too.
Dots
Yeah.
is
Dippin' Dots.
yeah, that's
It's the
that's fair.
that's the real future of ice cream.
Somebody in the chat mentioned freeze dried pickles. I don't know. I got some concerns.
Hmm.
I don't know.
Mm.
I don't know.
All right.
Might be awesome. Might be awesome. But
Might be great. All right. Well, cool. Yeah. So a lot's been going on around here, as Pink mentioned. It's been super busy here in the FRSecure space. But we are gearing up for a fun event next week. So just want to spread the word on that. Hacks and Hops is next Thursday at Target Center in Minneapolis. So if you're in the area, come see us. If you want a ticket and you don't have a ticket, shoot us an email. I could probably help you out with that. We'd love to see you there. And it's going to be a fun event. Seth, you're going to be there, right?
Yep, I'll be there. Talking about attack surface of the United States.
Yeah.
Yep.
Seth's been working on a really, really cool project and going to share some of those details next week at the event. I don't want to spoil it for everybody today,
Hmm.
but it's pretty dope. I don't know, Seth, if you want to give like a summary, but no spoiler of what you've been working on.
Yeah, I mean, basically, so a few years, Evan, our founder and leader, he started with the idea of mapping the attack surface of the U.S. And so we just he did a first pass a couple years ago. We've broadened our scope of that, and then did some Minnesota specific stuff that we're going to be unveiling at the con.
Awesome. Yeah, I can't
Yep.
wait to see it. Super exciting. I'll be there, obviously. I'll be doing a talk. I kind of stay the Union Talk update every year. I've been working to update those stats and get some fresh information for everybody. So I'm excited to share that. And then another fun thing, we're actually going to record the 250th episode of the Unsecurity podcast at the event live. And myself and Evan are going to be joining Brad and Megan to do that. So that should be a lot of fun. And then a big change this year, we've got three tracks, where in the past we've always just had the main stage track. So this year we're going to do a main stage track, an executive track focused on more executive level conversations, and then a technical track as well. And a lot of really good content. It's going to be a super fun event. We're going to close things out with like a live tabletop exercise, which those are always pretty fun. We got a CTF this year. We're going to be giving away some prizes. As always, we should have a great cocktail reception, happy hour, some good food. And if you ever want to shoot hoops on the T-Wolves floor, we're going to open the court up at 5 p.m. and give folks an opportunity to get out there and and do some balling. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Wear your Jordans, right? All right, cool. So let's dig right in. Let's start with the hacker tip of the week. I feel like this is one we've talked about before, but we got to bring it up again. And this week's hacker tip is like, hey, patch your edge devices. Make sure you got those in a regular patching cycle because they are being attacked right now. There's a big vulnerability published this week on Oracle devices, specifically Oracle e-business suite, which is their ERP tool. And it is a CVSS 9.8. It is added to the CSAKEV. It is being exploited now. So if you're running Oracle e-business, it's affecting suite versions 12.223 through 12.2.2.1.4. Essentially, it's just another unauthenticated RCE, right? So no authentication, you can execute remote code. And what attackers are doing, it's the same old attack chain, right? They're dropping a shell, using that shell for further damage. What do you guys think about this one?
Yeah, I mean, Oracle in particular, right? I mean, Oracle's almost never used in a trivial way. So there's already you're exposing a system that's almost certainly got some really sensitive data in it. So that's always a worry there too.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I think we're going to see more from this. I mean, I know at least from our perspective, we've not seen a case with it yet. Doesn't mean they're not coming. It's certainly that time of year. And like with any of these big vulnerabilities, right? We wonder about kind of that land grab mentality, right? Are they hitting this, they're dropping that shell and not actually doing anything with it yet, and it'll come back and hit it later. So I'm a little more concerned about this one as we go into the next couple months. But I mean, it's a pretty gnarly one. Yeah, I was kind of reading through it, and anytime you got unauthenticated code execution, that's a problem. That's a big problem. So yeah,
Hmm.
be rough.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah, the
kind of curious.
POC's out there, and the exploit's trivial. So I expect that if your device isn't patched, it will be exploited. Now, if you're going to have further damage right away, probably not. But it's likely if you have it patched by now, you're probably already exploited and you got a shell sitting on your system. Sorry, Seth, I interrupted you.
No, 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 that's good. Yeah, that's a very good point. I was just going to say in general about kind of edge security and patching. Would like to know how this lines up with your State of the Union and your research on that. I mean, you don't give too much away, but um, it feels to me like this year, like as far as initial points of compromise goes, most of the time it's social engineering or something like that. I feel like vulnerability exploits are probably pretty close to being equal, if not more, just in general, as far as initial compromise points.
From our
It's
case data, I will share. Sorry, Pink.
Oh, you're good. Go ahead.
And my case volume too. I'm looking over the course of a year and a half right now. Now, if I look at recent trends, they've shifted a lot.
yeah,
Um, And we just had so many business email compromise cases,
oh
evil
sure.
proxy, evil jinx cases. It kind of sways our metrics a little bit in that space. But you're exactly right. Like I go back 2 years ago. So I've been doing this for 3 years now. And 2 years ago, it was holy crap, all the vulnerability exploits, right? We go back really to 2022 is when I started tracking data and analyzing it in 23. And 22, I think we just declared was the year of the O-Day. It was every week
Yeah.
there was another exploited O-Day out there. And so we're constantly responding to those. But we are seeing the data I'm looking at more vulnerability exploits, but it's like old vulnerabilities still.
Hmm.
And so I was thinking about that talk track 2 years ago because it was new vulnerabilities, but there was a significant amount of age vulnerabilities in there as well. And it kind of highlighted that need for a vulnerability management program that people, and specifically edge devices, it's always a challenge for folks. And I think in the last 6 months or so, we've seen a resurgence of those exploited vulnerabilities. And unfortunately, a lot of them aren't O-Days. A lot of them aren't new. They're pretty old.
Yeah. Yeah, that's where I was going with it. Really, the last 6 months, there's been a shift. I think we talked about it a little bit before, on how our cases, generally we're kind of an 80-20 mix of like 80% business email compromise, 20% internal compromise, that can stem from an edge device, right? But it's a compromise on the network, not just like your cloud email or whatever. Um, and really the last 6 months, that's kind of been flipped on its head. We've been working a lot more internal compromise, and like you said, it is a lot of vulnerability exploitation. Some of it is, sometimes it's still some of the old things we see with just, bad password management and no MFAs and things like that. But one of the ones we've seen crop up a ton in the last 6 months is, and I'm not calling these guys out specifically, but Sonic wall devices. So, Akira in particular has been targeting Sonic Wall, and so again, we're talking about edge devices here. Those things tend to not get patched very often, and so it is usually a lot of older vulnerabilities. But it just kind of points back to that need of like, hey, let's let's patch these edge devices, as painful as
Hmm.
it can be. But yeah, we've definitely seen that shift. It's been a weird year in that. Like I think the metrics for next year when you do this talk are going to be kind of wild.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's certainly a thing right now.
Yeah, this one's interesting too. I want to call out and Oracle's response here. They got a patch out now, so make sure you're applying that patch. But kind of to lean on our conversation here, in their guidance, they emphasize that the October of 2023 critical patch update must be applied before installing this fix. Which kind of like, why are they putting that in the messaging if there's not a significant issue, right? So there's likely still a large number of unpatched systems out there from 2 years ago,
Sure.
and users have to be sure they're applying that patch before they apply this one. Um, One other note I had on this too is I think they're saying Clop is suspected, right, of releasing that POC. But some of the IOCs, they were indicating that maybe these, ransomware groups were sharing resources with each other. Um, but there are other ATPs that are utilizing this exploit right now. I don't think they're sharing resources. I think once it becomes known, once the patch becomes released, like it's pretty easy to patch diff, figure out that
Yep.
exploit path, and mimic the POC.
Yeah. Yeah, and they are saying like Clop has been targeting the EBS systems, but also to like the scattered lapsus hunters, which I think is a three group amalgamation. But
Hmm.
these names are getting more ridiculous all the time. But yeah, it's kind of them and Clop is who we've or not we, but they've been seeing hit this so
Hmm.
far. I mean, both of which are pretty rowdy. So I mean, like those aren't just little upstart groups. They've been around a while doing a lot of bad things.
Right. Yeah, I guess the things to call out here obviously apply the patches, but like we always recommend, and since we know this is being exploited today, you got to threat hunt, and there are good IOCs out there to see if your system has been exploited already. And then beyond that too, can we talk about like should this be on the internet, right? Should you be putting your EBS systems on the internet, or should you be protecting them behind a VPN?
Yep. Yeah, I mean, obviously that's always my number one advice when I'm, working with a client or just talking about vulnerability management in general is either getting rid of the technology that's in place that is vulnerable, right? Because then guess what? You don't have to patch it anymore.
Right.
But beyond that, protecting the access behind a VPN or some sort of other ACL. Yeah, I mean, that's always the initial line of defense and best line of defense.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. On kind of the threat hunting page there too, they did, like at least the article we have here does have some IOCs in it, couple of IPs, which is always handy, but we don't, those obviously aren't going to be the only IPs hitting it. Um, couple of zips and some Python scripts that are out there too. So those are going to be helpful in threat hunting as well. Even if it's not exactly what's here, we can, likely tear those apart and look at them and see what kind of things were being done and kind of hunt on that activity as well. So, um, yeah, always the way to go to threat hunt with these things, even if your vendor tells you that the patch fixes it and sometimes they'll tell you it removes the web shell. Yeah, I mean probably not. So keep that in mind. So keep digging. But yeah, just yeah, get caught up on the patch, but also hunt.
Yeah.
So while we're here, I want to touch on another one, kind of as part of the patch edge devices. There's also a big Cisco vulnerability released a couple weeks ago, affecting the SNMP service. 2 million vulnerable devices on the internet right now, with SNMP services available. And so this one luckily is not a critical CVE. I think it's a high. I think it's like 7 or 6 something. And essentially, if they don't have authentication, right, if they don't have low-level credentials, they can actually, they're limited to just being able to DOS your system, but they can take your system offline. If they do have low-level credentials, they can use the vulnerability to elevate privileges as well. And so just kind of want to throw that in while we're talking about edge devices. Make sure if you got Cisco devices that you are staying up to date on those patches. Also consider if you should be exposing SNMP to the internet. If you don't have a use for that, block that service, shut it down because, again, as Seth was just saying, if you don't need it, why do you have it exposed? So let's limit that.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't think of a situation in which you would want to have SNMP open to the internet. I mean, it's an internal monitoring protocol, right? No real reason to have that exposed to the internet. And also, a lot of times, see it all the time. If SNMP is open, then it's going to have a default public community string in place too. I
Mhm.
mean,
Um,
tons of times. So,
yeah.
and it can expose very sensitive information through that protocol as well,
Mhm.
on top of being vulnerable to things. Just having it there and a bad community string in place, I don't know that you could necessarily take over a system, but it gives you a lot of information that could maybe help you get there.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I was reading through this and kind of having a little bit of a laugh because I mean, I remember talking about this 20 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Don't be exposing SMP to the internet. And I don't know if you guys saw at the bottom of that article, there was like a staff picked comment that made me giggle a little bit. But I mean, I'm not going to repeat it because there's some language in there, but it was kind of funny, and it was just like, yeah, all of us old graybeards, as an MP stands for security is not my problem, and yeah, it made me laugh a little bit because just having that moment of like, are we still talking
Mhm.
about this? Like, no, get it. I mean, it happens, right? People forget things. I mean, I get it, but be aware of it because it is still, like Seth said, maybe not anything directly exploitable sometimes, but plenty of good info in there for an attacker to use
Mhm.
for whatever.
Yep. Yep. Agreed.
Yeah, something to be aware of too. I mean, you guys know this, but a lot of times, especially with network devices, it's on by default as well. And so that's
Mhm.
how these things happen, right?
Yeah.
It's typically on by default as a monitoring protocol. It's just there. It has some default community strings in place, and that just never gets ACL'd or turned off.
Yep.
All right. So we did have a question in the chat here. I want to respond to Brian asked, is anything going to be streamed from Hacks and Hops? No, we're not going to be streaming live. However, we will be recording everything, and we'll have those recordings put up on our channel, hopefully within a couple weeks after the event closes. All right, cool. So let's roll right into the next part, the phishing report, and we're just talking about the catch of the week here. I think the phishing report's turning into the catch of the week. Um, this was announced this week. It went public. There was a data breach at CPAP Medical Supplies and Services. They're a defense-based contractor that supplies CPAP materials to military members, veterans, and their families. There were 90,000 records compromised in the breach. This one was interesting to me because the breach, we don't know how it occurred. They haven't released any of those details right now. It's been very high level. But it occurred in December of 2024. It wasn't discovered until June of 2025. And they did begin to notify affected individuals mid-August, and then it was released publicly, I think, yesterday. As part of the data set, there were names, birth dates, social security numbers, patient identification numbers, health insurance details, medical histories, diagnosis, treatment plans, and even like your CPAP sleep data could have been was exfiltrated as well. Uh, they say it could have been accessed. We don't know if they accessed that or pulled it or not. But overall, a pretty significant data breach here affecting a lot of people. And for me, the timing of this is just concerning. When we talk about securing our vendors and ensuring that we are assessing our vendors for their security protocols. Holy crap, 6 months between the attack and discovery, and which leads me to believe, and Pinky, I think you could talk more about this. I mentioned we still don't know how this happened, right? Their point of ingress or any details about the attack. It's probably because discovery didn't occur until 6 months later, and it makes me wonder how discovery actually occurred.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's. I mean, obviously not involved in it, but I can kind of read into that a little bit. That's probably the case. Um, you know, Likely with a lot of these, right? They're going to reach out and say the attackers are going to reach out and say, "Hey, we've got your data. Do you want it back?" But 6 months is a long time to wait on that, so that one's a little weird to me. It's just kind of strange there. Also, too, I mean, that's not a small amount of data they took. If it really,
Hmm.
let's
Yeah.
assume it impacts all 90,000 or whatever, right? It's a fair amount of network traffic that didn't get seen. Now, trickled over 6 months, it might be a little harder to see. But yeah, it's
I think actually the incident took place. They gave the dates like over a 5-day period. The data was exfiltrated.
oh, okay, my bad. Sorry, yeah, I
Yeah.
misread that. So yeah, over a 5-day period, that's pretty should be able to see that. Um, but yeah, my guess is they don't know. Kind of like you're saying there about could have been accessed, right? We see this a lot where it was like the server or the servers that house this data were definitely compromised. We see attacker activity on them. We see that maybe there were data exfiltration tools there, but we don't have a way to monitor and know what was actually taken. And that's pretty common. I mean, that happens a lot. It's not fun for folks when that does happen, but that's kind of the way I would read into that a little bit. So just kind of what we've seen.
I just always assume when I read that it was typically.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm cynical, but when I see that,
No.
it's like maybe this happened or maybe this was exfiltrated. I just assume it was typically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair. It's the best way to approach it, honestly, because it probably
Hmm.
is. Yeah.
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 Yeah, I just bring
Exfiltration.
this up, yeah, because of the delay, right? To me, it's
Yep.
a significant part of this story, and we talk
Mhm.
about that a lot. Early identification is critical, but even more importantly is early response once you identify. So our ability to even forensicate a case like this, if there's a 6-month time lapse, most of our artifacts are likely gone when we're engaging for that response.
Particularly if we're talking data exfiltration, right? Because it's hard to find anyway, a lot of times. And
Hmm.
so
Yeah.
6 month gap or whatever there, it's gonna be a problem, be a real problem.
Yep. I did want to throw another quick hit, so this is kind of a surprise for you guys. It wasn't on our show notes today, so I do apologize, but I don't know if you guys seen. And this goes in line with the phishing report. So there's a new self-spreading WhatsApp malware that's going
Hmm.
around right now named Sorv Patel. I think I'm pronouncing that right. I'm not sure. But it's pretty interesting. It's spreading automatically via WhatsApp. It's only focused on the desktop version of WhatsApp, though. And so essentially, if you're a compromised user, it's automatically going to look at all your contacts and it's going to deliver a zip file to all your contacts. If they open that, it's going to continue to self-propagate. Once you execute the zip file, it contains a Windows LNK shortcut. That LNK shortcut triggers a PowerShell script. That PowerShell script fires up a C2 and communicates to the team server, and you've got C2 control on the affected desktop. At this point, I don't think they've seen any secondary attacks from that. It just appears like they're trying to propagate and get their hooks in everywhere they can right now. I think WhatsApp is responding by trying to identify people that are sending excessive attachments to people in their contacts and blocking those accounts if discovered. It seems like it got pretty far though before they were able to put those mitigating controls in place. And then also knowing their response is looking for mass mailing right now, there's workarounds, right? So let's tweak that code a little bit and let's send those out one at a time over the course of 24 or 48 hours to avoid detection. So I think it's going to stick around right now. Just something to be aware of if you're using WhatsApp. And really back to what we're talking about, if your homie out of nowhere just sends you a zip file, maybe don't open that. Hey, Pink, why'd you send me the zip file? What's in this?
Yeah, yeah, and as always, pick up the phone and call. You call Oscar and ask him, or call Pinky, call me asking me why I did it. Like, don't just send the message back in case that's compromised as well.
Hmm.
I don't
Yeah.
know how many times we've seen attackers just respond to emails like, "Hey, did you mean to send me this file?" Yeah, absolutely, I meant to send it.
Mhm.
Just go ahead and do it. That one's
Yeah.
always fun to see. But yeah, I don't think that's the case with what's going on with this one. But yeah, yeah, I wasn't aware of this one literally before we started the show. I just saw like the headline that said WhatsApp worm. And I was like, oh, I should dig
Hmm.
into that. And didn't have time yet. So
Yeah.
that's like a fun one.
Yeah, I'm curious. I mean, I don't really use WhatsApp. I'd be curious to know like what the prevalency of the WhatsApp desktop app is. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Like, is that a thing a lot of people are using? I think maybe because I believe it's bigger outside of the United States, right? So
It
like,
is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, so abroad, that's probably a huge deal, right?
Hmm. I don't use WhatsApp. I do use Signal.
Yeah.
And I think Signal's a great tool. I use the desktop app for Signal all the time, just for ease of use, right? So if I'm having
Mhm.
conversations, I don't have to pick up a phone and do that. So I would assume probably a lot of users in the WhatsApp space are doing the same thing. If you're
Yeah.
working on your computer regularly, why not put it there just so you don't have to be distracted by your phone?
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense.
All right, cool. So rolling right into the first news story. This is like the third news story, but we're not on the Phishing Report. We're not on the catch of the week anymore. We're on the hacker tip of the week. We're into the news, baby. Let's
All
rock and
right.
roll. So this one should be a surprise to no one. The Hacker News put out a report titled "AI is already the number one data exfiltration vector." I've seen this, and honestly, it was like, yeah, of course it is. We've
Mhm.
been talking about this since AI became the buzzword of the century 2.5 years ago. That people are integrating AI systems, they're not training their users, and it's going to lead to massive data leaks or data exfiltration. What do you guys think about this one?
Yeah, I mean, literally, my first note was, "Of course it is."
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
so, but I did put in, like just not the way you think, right? Because I think a lot of people see that headline. It's like, oh, the AI attacks are, happening, and they're stealing our data using the AI now. And I'm gonna keep calling it the AI because I think it's funny.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, no, it makes total sense, man. I mean, we've been talking about this for a while. Don't drop that sensitive info in there, that kind of thing. Um, the one that I think might surprise people though is and it makes total sense, but that DLP tools aren't catching this because they're
Hmm.
not monitoring for that kind of thing, right? They're looking at files, emails, that kind of thing. So, um, but yeah, I mean, yeah, of course it is. Like we knew this was going to happen.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I would say the one thing that is interesting to me, I mean, kind of saw this coming, was AI enhanced attacks. I don't think they're really doing anything novel, right? Like you're not doing something that a human or even a piece of like self-propagating malware would do. It's more just the speed, right? I think that's
Mhm.
the part that to be really, not afraid of, but aware of is that the speed at which it can exfiltrate data is going to be a lot faster than a person with an automated script even. It
Hmm.
can kind of, adjust on the fly to find things a little quicker.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's another story we're going to talk about after this, kind of highlights that as well.
Yeah.
Um, it's some interesting stats. Yeah, like Pink called out, like traditional DLP just doesn't work. So have to kind of rethink that model. Um, but the usage statistics shouldn't really be a surprise either. Saying in their survey in enterprise environments, 45% of employees are using generative tools. ChatGPT alone accounts for 43%, so it's kind of the king of the space. But the big flip is like the governance hasn't kept pace, and that's what we've talked about, right? Is everybody's like quick to the draw because it's the shiny, it's the new, it's going to make life easier, it's going to make your work easier to do, and so they're adopting without really thinking through the governance side.
Mhm.
Um, about 67% of the usage that they've documented is occurring with personal accounts. And so there's no control or no visibility over that. You can't really control what your users are doing. And so I still go back to like governance is important, right? Making sure that you have an approved list of tools, you have a way to implement that in your organization is also important. But like just basic training, like how many people have adopted their training to match the technology they're now utilizing because it's been a huge shift in the last 2 years. And we can't always blame the end users if they are just trying to be efficient in their job and do their jobs effectively for using tools in an inappropriate way if we're not supporting them and giving them the training and the education that they need and helping them understand the risks associated.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, totally agree. I think the governance piece of it is obviously really important and only going to become more of an industry standard, I think. And then the other part is like, you think about doing like a security risk assessment. We're going to have a whole section on AI
Hmm.
sooner rather than later, I think, and your controls around it.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
totally.
I think we've got that 95% done. Hopefully we're going to roll that out this year. I don't want to give away too much, but
Yeah.
if it's not out this year, it's going to be out early next year. So we'll have a good focus on that. Other things we're working on too is just things we think are super important to people, but it's really auditing your AI integrations, right? So I
Mhm.
think we can assess, right? But then let's get some hands on the keyboard and let's do some testing to understand if you have, um, set appropriate permissions, if the data that's entering and exiting that model or what you expect And there's other things too. I know other people are focusing on, data poisoning and really trying to attack the model. And that's a risk as well. But on the flip side, to me, it just goes back to this governance piece, making sure that you fully understand the data that you're allowing to flow inwards and outwards of these integrations.
Yeah. Yeah, a couple questions came up in the chat there too. I mean, first, Steve asking if he can use the AI because he likes that term. 100%. Yeah, please do. Any random term I use on you, go for it. I like to hear them come back to me at some point in time. But he also noted too that they're using the Microsoft DSPM for AI data security. So that's part of the Purview suite
Mhm.
in the Microsoft realm. And I'll just tell you, if you're not using Purview tools in the Microsoft suite, do. They're awesome. You can do so much there. Our just example of like our email compromise cases, and a little bit of a tangent here, but we used to just be able to get to the point of saying, yeah, this mailbox is compromised. You kind of have to consider every piece of data in there compromised. Now with Microsoft's Purview tool, we can get down to a pretty granular level, right? Like it'll kick out message IDs, it'll kick out files that were accessed, all that kind of stuff. So it's a really nice tool. I mean, you do know have to play with it to understand how to work it and find some indicators that let you know is this legit activity or an attacker activity because it all is coming from the same account. But it's a great tool. It's a good thing there. But then Marcus asked there, he said all he's heard lately about DLP tools is how ineffective they are. What do you guys think about that?
Well, I think it goes back to what I always say, like a tool is only as good as you're able to configure and implement and monitor that tool. And I think our gap with DLP right now isn't necessarily a tool problem, it's a configuration problem, right? Our threat landscape has shifted, so there's different ways that information is leaving our organization of our controls, and the way we're implementing DLP hasn't kept up with that again. It's wild. Like if we look at the adoption of AI integrations and you look at like, okay, when email was first created, like how long did it take to really adopt email as a critical business function? Years, years and years and years, right? But if we look at AI today, like these modern AI systems have only been on the market, a couple of years at this point. But we look at the adoption statistics, and 60, 70% of organizations have already implemented these AI tools that we moved too fast. We didn't think about the repercussions. We didn't think about the risks. All we thought about was the ease of use. And now we're paying, our debts because of that. And so I think that these DLP tools are going to be effective. We just have to have a paradigm shift at looking at how data is exfiltrated or is leaked from our organization and make sure we're adopting our tools to fit the new model.
Yeah. Yeah, and speaking on the configuration piece, I mean, it's like EDR, right? Like you can ratchet it down so tightly that a user can't do anything on their system,
Hmm.
right? Similar to DLP, you could be literally checking every single packet that leaves the environment. The problem is the practicality of that and
Yep.
like being able to do your business and do your job. And so you just have to find the happy medium of that. I wouldn't say DLP is ineffective. It's not. It's just like you said, it's a configuration issue, and out of the box, a lot of times it's not looking for the things you need
Hmm.
it to be.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I definitely agree with both of you guys on that. I think it can be effective. It's configuration and knowing where to point it, things like that as well.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I love the EDR example there though, Seth, because I mean, yeah, you can buy an EDR, turn it on, and it'll basically do nothing.
Yep.
It's going to block the most basic of things, but then you can also crank it down to where you can't move. And so everything's about tuning and configuration when it comes to these types of systems. So
Mhm.
totally agree.
Yeah, so kind of continuing our AI discussion and about the early adoption and quick adoption of these tools without necessarily thinking. There are some research agents out there that you can integrate into like your Gmail and your Outlook, your 365. There's a lot of opportunities to integrate these tools, and it's meant just to make your life easier, right? If you're trying to find emails, you're trying to respond, it's going to assist you so you can be more efficient at work. There was a a new study that came out. Security researchers at Radware disclosed a POC attack that they called Shadow Leak that essentially abuses OpenAI's deep research and ChatGPT's research agent connectors for mailboxes. This specifically was targeting Gmail. I don't know how it would have worked in other environments, but in this context, it was Gmail only. But attackers were able to essentially just embed indirect prompt injection payloads into emails or into leaked documents. and it would return the requested information without zero click, zero user information. They didn't even know what was happening. But if you had the agent connected to your mailbox and it had access to all your emails, essentially an attacker could inject a prompt into an email. You could hide the text, right? You could put it in a file that's attached and it's still going to process that. You don't even have to click the file or open the file. It's still going to process that, read that information, and it will respond with the information requested. So essentially, the attackers are able to gain access to everything that's in that connected environment. So your email, your docs, your photos, whatever you're looking for, it all could have been exfiltrated here. What do you guys think about that? Pretty interesting.
Yeah, yeah. It's a neat technique. Also, really cool name, Radware. I mean, that's awesome. Um,
That's the researchers. Yeah,
yeah,
super
yeah,
cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Super cool name. Yeah. I mean, this again. I mean, like I don't know. It just feels like everything old is new again, kind of thing, or whatever. But I remember, again, pretty close to 20 years ago, Google had these like search indexer servers you could drop in your data center that would just crawl your data center and pull all your data in there, right?
Hmm.
And I remember getting handed one of those to go hook up, and I was just like, no, I'm not going to do that because we have a lot of sensitive information. I have no idea what this thing's going to do. Um, Slide aside, the funny part of that was that they had me plug it up anyway, but not actually connect it to the network, just because we had a windowed data center. And so that people could walk by and see that we had Google in the data center. I took a couple panels off above it too, so you could see it was a Google device. Um, but it
Oh,
never
we
actually
remember
did it.
those days, man.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, no, I know you guys, I know you guys both do. But
Uh-huh.
yeah, this reminds me of that, except on a more micro level of individuals and stuff. So,
Hmm.
again, it's a tool meant to make your life easier, but man, it just takes a cleverly crafted prompt and make it spit out some information. So,
Hmm.
kind of scary. Yeah.
Yeah, I would be curious to know if having your own instance of that would, like your own private instance of the language model would kind of prevent some of that. I don't know.
Hmm.
It doesn't sound like it. I'd be curious because like if they're compromise the connector, even if you have your own environment, then you're still
Hmm.
right. You're still going to be at risk. So, I mean, because that's like the problem solved for the solution for a lot of the AI problems as well. We have our own instance, and so it's fine. But in this case, I don't think that would have helped.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not sure
Yeah, I
either.
think the big thing here, I just, my mind goes to is thinking about, having an application and an integration allow list as part of your vulnerability management plan. And so these connectors all work through OAuth, right? And
Mhm.
so if you have that ability to implement in your network so that any user is trying to, connect a new OAuth application, you get an approval request. It's going to be denied by default. And so I think we have to go back to that. Like, let's start thinking about how we federate this and prevent users from being able to just kind of do these things on their own without the business having knowledge of it. And then it becomes a business decision, right? It becomes a risk decision. So you're looking at that and determining, like, maybe you do have some low level users that don't have confidential data in their mailbox. And maybe it could make them more efficient at their jobs. I don't know. So maybe there's a use case for that. But from my perspective, if I've got critical information, confidential and private information, I would see any of these agents or connectors as being a critical risk that I wouldn't accept in my organization. But we still have to be at that level of having the granularity and the visibility to our enterprise to be able to see when our users are doing these things and then make an
Yeah.
appropriate risk decision.
I'm not gonna hear an argument for me. I'm all
Yep.
for
Absolutely.
it.
Yeah.
All right, all right. One more thing, there was another report that came out this week. It was this 2025 Cybersecurity Reality Check, and it's kind of in line with our conversations here a lot today. I thought it would be fun to kind of talk through some of these points. One key finding, we'll just kind of go through these. There's four key points, and have a brief conversation. The first key finding is that breaches are being concealed by organizations. Over 58% of security professionals reported being instructed to keep breaches confidential, which is a significant increase from previous years.
Mhm.
CISOs and CIOs are, facing heightened pressure to stay silent. Don't tell people about their incidents, which to me is damaging. It's going to erode trust. It's going to, I mean, you're out of compliance as well. And so I think this is kind of scary. What do you guys think?
Yes. But yeah, have definitely seen more tightening of the circle when it comes to incidents over the last little while here, as opposed to what we saw a few years ago. A few years ago, something would happen, everybody in the organization knew about it, which isn't always the best plan either, right? Because you want to be able to manage some of those communications and make sure
Hmm.
the right information's getting out and doesn't cause panic and things like that. But I've definitely seen those circles tighten a lot more and kind of keeping things a little lower profile on that. It kind of is what it is. I think it probably ties back into more of the legal aspects of people getting sued for things and a lot of class action lawsuits. I know
Hmm.
there are some. I don't know who these firms are, but I do know that there are some folks who are getting on known breaches pretty quickly and throwing out like class action lawsuits before the investigations are done, that type
Hmm.
of thing. So it's probably a response to that, but I do agree overall it's probably going to be damaging.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I mean, no question. You're probably right. It probably is a little bit of a response to that. It probably is a little also a response to the fact that in general, the public's becoming more savvy with security related issues.
Hmm.
And so you hear that, hey, there was XYZ event. It makes a little more sense to people and there's more of a public outcry too. And so unfortunately, I think human nature is then to be like, well, I don't want to, be the target of all of this, all of this anger and whatever else. So we'll try to keep it quiet. I mean,
Hmm.
that happens with other things business related, right? I
Sure.
mean, fortunately,
Yeah.
like if something else happens inside of an organization, they a lot of times they'll try to keep it quiet. And so, yeah, it's not good, that's for sure.
Yeah, completely agree with you guys. I think honesty, transparency is incredibly important. And most people, I think, when they're in this situation, they think that this is going to be damaging to the business. And in some cases, it's impossible for it not to be damaging to the business. But they think from a reputational standpoint, right, this is going to be damaging. But I can tell you, I mean, from my personal history and cases that I've worked in my past, or in cases we've worked in conjunction with people, or it just I've been, part of that data set that was breached. When a business is honest, they're transparent, they're forward, and they really like tell me the story, tell me how they're going to make it better, like share the information with me of what happened, what which of my data has been compromised, and on and on and on. Like it makes me trust them more because I know that in a time of struggle for them, they did the right thing, right? And so even though they suffered that, we all know, right? It's not and not fear mongering, but it's not if and when every organization is or will be impacted by a security incident. So it's not really, let's take the shame away and let's focus more on how we respond and how we ensure our consumers that we're going to do the right things to make sure this doesn't happen again. We're going to do the right things to help you if we've been irresponsible with your data. For me, I don't know. It helped. I really feel like I gain a little bit of trust when people handle things the appropriate way, and that's through honesty and transparency.
Yeah.
All right, so this one was a little surprising to me. Um, we've observed a rise of living off land attacks. 84% of high severity attacks utilize existing tools within environments, making detections challenging. Um, yeah, we've been saying this for like how many years now? Like 3 years more? I don't know. It's been a
Maybe
long
more.
time, but yeah, I just think back like we used to see custom malware, custom C2s, custom all the time. And now it's like, bro, they don't have to do that because the tools are already there. And we still see some of that, right? But we've been observing this trend for years at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, you confused me when you said you were surprised by it. I was like, "What? No, no, we've been having this conversation." Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, I have this conversation a lot with people just being like, look, malware scanning is not going to do it, right? Like
Hmm.
you've had an incident here. There's almost certainly a bunch of things that were not detected because they're just normal things that happen in an environment. It's, PowerShell, it's VPN, things that look normal. And so, yeah, no big surprise there to me either.
Yeah, I mean, it's as a red teamer, right? That's my background. I mean, it's great. Like if you can find a built-in Microsoft tool to do the thing that you're trying to do, fantastic. If Microsoft signed, it's probably not going to get picked up. I mean, occasionally, heuristically, right? If you're running PS exec to do something weird, like yeah, that'll get flagged by EDR or something similar. But in general, like all of the tools we use as a penetration tester, there's some sort of equivalent baked into the
Mhm.
environment 99% of the time. And so, yeah, it's not surprising at all. I mean, we, like you said, we've been talking about this. I think I did a talk on it 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
um, the thing that's interesting to me though is PowerShell in particular, feels like you can get away with almost more now with PowerShell than you could 2 or 3 years ago
Hmm.
because a lot of organizations seems like, okay, for management purposes, we're going to shut down RDP and we're going to get rid of WinRM or something like that. And so you're only, the only option or one of the, most popular options at that point is PowerShell remoting. And so you have MSPs and internal IT organizations and all these different entities who are working in your environment who are just running PowerShell scripts 24/7. And so now all of a sudden I can just get away with murder probably because,
Hmm.
there's exceptions everywhere for it.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
absolutely.
All right, so two more real quick here. Uh, AI threat perception versus reality. 67% of professionals believe that AI-driven attacks are increasing. 58% express concerns over AI-powered malware. It's everywhere, it's in the news, but the reality is, actual instances of AI-enhanced attacks is pretty low. There is not a lot of this
Yeah.
going on. There's a lot of fear-mongering out there right now. Like, yeah, it's a thing, it could be a thing, but the reality is like I think this is not reality. We have a misperception that's being really, really pushed, an agenda that's being pushed through media that like be afraid of the AI. It's coming. The AI malware is here. The AI attackers are here. But like, I think it's making some things easier, right? I
Mhm.
think they're utilizing AI as part of their methodology now, and maybe there's a shorter go to market time when you're trying to develop something, right? Fishlets, right? It's easier to clone sites now. Okay.
Yep.
Mhm.
Vibe coding, right? It's easier to kind of create code, right? But outside of that, like the AI machine is not powering these attacks. What do you guys think?
No, I mean you're right. Like the barrier, it has absolutely lowered the barrier of entry, right?
Hmm.
Like if you have bad intentions, you can use AI to get you kind of where you're going. It's not going to do anything novel though, right? Like it's not going to
Yep.
come up with some, it's not going to find a vulnerability and create some kind of zero day for that. Not really. I mean, it can point you maybe in the right direction, but it's not going to do anything that we've never seen before. It's lowered the barrier of entry and maybe makes things a little quicker.
Hmm.
But that's really all that I've seen
Yeah.
personally.
Yeah, yeah, same. And we're just not seeing it, right? I mean, on the phishing, maybe, we see better crafted emails now, things like that, but we're not seeing like actual AI driven malware or anything like that. Just not a thing yet.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I agree. This one's a little bit of a so just a little bit of that fear, the fear mongering that's out
Yeah.
there right
Yeah.
now.
I would say one thing though, I think that, people are leveraging AI for kind of broadly is specific to phishing. I mean, it's not, this it's not as rampant as it seems like it's believed. But one thing that it can do, right, is fine, go do some recon on this person and
Hmm.
craft me a spear phishing email for that. Right. So
Yep.
like again, it's just making it a little easier for things like that, but it's not just orchestrating some broad level attack. Like that's not
Yep.
Right.
not happening.
Yeah, I think they're good. It's a good support tool, right, for an attacker. And you hit the nail on the head. It just lowers the barrier of entry,
Hmm.
makes things easier. All right, so finally, last point. There's a disconnect between leadership and operational teams. Who's surprised by that? 45% of executives feel confident in managing cyber risks. Only 19% of mid-level managers would agree with this sentiment.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I think this has
Yeah.
kind of been a thing again, like for a really long time. And I have my opinions as of why, but I'll hold on for a minute, see what you guys think.
Um, yeah, I mean, yeah, it is the case. The the sort of on why I'm not sure I want to dig too deep into, but I do think there's some level of just almost even we paid all this money to have all the tools and have all the security, and so it must be
Yeah.
okay. It's probably not the only, I mean, it's definitely not the only reason, but like that's the first one that jumps out of my mind. Whereas your people that are a little closer to the boots on the ground are actually seeing what's happening and like, yeah, the tool helps, but it's not a silver bullet, because nothing is. But yeah, that's kind of where I see on this one.
Yeah, I think willful ignorance plays a part of it too. Of
Mhm.
like, well, they got it. We did a thing. It's probably fine, right? I mean, I think that's just kind of human nature.
Yeah.
It's like, no, we bought some things and we put some people in place. Yeah, we got this. Very confident. Um, yeah. Outside of that, yeah, I don't I don't want to get too much into the live. So be curious to hear your
Yeah,
take,
just so
Oscar.
we'll leave it at a high level like that. But you're right. It's like we're spending the money. We're obviously
Yeah.
secure. Right? I think it's a technology problem. They think it's a money problem. There's a disconnect in understanding. And so I think a lot of executives are looking at budgets, looking at, success of an information security or a risk program as like our implementations associated with those technologies and with those budgets. But they don't really truly understand that it's a communication problem again, like, Evan has always said, like they're not really able to understand and digest the information that their teams are giving to them in a meaningful way. And I can relate to that. I mean, when I was working for, the office of the CISO at a Fortune 100 company at the time, I remember sitting in the room with our CIO and our CISO, and they're saying, "What are the things that I should really be worried about? What should we be focused on right now?" And it's like, I send you the report every single month. I highlight the things that should be keeping you up at night. Does it? And this is, in 2017, 18. Like, do you guys not know we still have 200 Windows 2000 servers running with internet accessibility? Like, let's start there. And so, like, just this basic disconnect and being able to consume and understand and digest this information, it's non-existent today, or it's a challenge today, I should say, in a lot of organizations. And so, maybe that's some of our fault with how we effectively communicate. Maybe it's some of the organization's fault with putting people who have, a lack of expertise a in a position where they have complete authority over a program. We see misalignment too, like where your technology team and your security team both roll up to the same individual in a lot of organizations, right? It's going to cause even further disconnect. Those are two different decision processes. So, yeah, I think there's just an overall disconnect, and we could probably talk a long time about this, but I think we're about out of time.
Yeah. And we are, aren't we?
All right. Well, thanks to everybody for tuning in again. This has been fun. Thanks for joining us, Seth.
Yeah, thanks for having
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, thanks as always, Pink, for being here. Your stream was like it was so crispy today,
Crystal
man.
clear.
Good job. Yeah.
Beautiful. I love it. I love it.
All
Good
right. Well,
thing I can
thanks
still remember how to
everybody.
make cables.
Hopefully we see you guys at Hacks and Hops next week. If not, we'll catch you on the next episode in November.